got to ask you first off, with an overwhelming victory for you, curious how you're feeling today, given so many tight races elsewhere.
Well, I have to admit I'm a little bit shell-shocked because a few of my colleagues lost their races, and then Joe Biden is slowly inching towards that 270 electoral votes, but I had hoped that it would have been determined well before now. Nonetheless, I still think that he's facing victory.
Well, President Trump seems to claim the outcome has already been determined. He's already declared victory. He is mounting legal challenges in Michigan and Pennsylvania. What are your biggest concerns about protecting the security of this election?
Well, it is outrageous because every ballot should be counted. And for one thing, every ballot is counted, and they're not all counted on the day of the election. This has been since elections immemorial. In fact, the county registrars have up until a certain time, in this case December 8th, to certify all the election results and all the ballots. The second thing is that every state has a constitutional right to determine how it counts its ballots. And it's a separate thing for each state. Trump can't order these states to do what he wants them to do, like stop counting, for instance. So I think it's important for us to carry out what is our constitutional duty, and that is to count every ballot that has been dutifully turned in under the expectations that were set out for the voters. And if we do, I think there's a clear path to victory for Joe Biden. And in fact, he just needs at this point Arizona and Nevada in order to reach the magic number of 270.
If former Vice President Biden wins, that means that Kamala Harris, Senator of California, will be vice president. That means that Governor Gavin Newsom will have to appoint someone to replace her who could serve for decades in that seat. What would you like to see him do there?
Well, I would like to see him make sure that we have a well-qualified person. I certainly would like to see somebody that has not been represented before, that is perhaps a person of color. And of course, we had a strong tradition of having women in that position. So I would like to see him have a thorough search and make sure that we have the right person who could lead this state forward. We know that the state has been such a leader in so many ways on combating climate change and in combating COVID. I would like to see that leadership continue on with forward-thinking people in this coming period. So it is a very, very important seat, and I know he'll make the right decision.
Meantime, it looks like Democrats won't win the Senate. The House will keep a Democratic majority, but as you mentioned, a number of colleagues, a number of incumbents lost their seats. How much more difficult does that make your job for the next 4 years, after an already tough 4 years?
Well, it helps tremendously to have the person in the White House be a Democrat. So I think that will help us immensely. And certainly he can do many executive actions that can undo the damage of the past 4 years. I do think, though, that in the Senate, at least the numbers will be closer. Even though we won't have the majority, we will have more than what we had in the past. And I hope that is an incentive for the Senate to be able to be in a negotiating mood so that we can move this country forward. I mean, there are issues that we've had a great deal of common concern over. For instance, the infrastructure of this country. After we deal with COVID, and of course, that is my number one issue, because we have to make sure that the American people are healthy. We then have to think about how we stimulate this economy, how we get jobs back to the American people. And I think the best way is by having a major infrastructure bill. And we can hit two birds with one stone if that major infrastructure bill addresses the green economy and makes sure that we have ways of utilizing and enhancing green energy, then we can combat climate change. So I think this is a very important next step. We actually did pass a bill like this just a few weeks ago out of the House, but we also need the Senate to approve it as well. And I hope that with a narrower majority for them, that they will be in a mood to fix these very pressing issues that we have in this country.